Hello, my name is Johnny Bannon, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Trepid Technologies. In this video, we're going to be doing part 2 of our Git video series. I'm going to teach you how to install Git for your Windows desktop machine, and then I'm going to show you how to do a Git clone. So without further ado, let's get started. So again, guys, we barely touched the surface of what we do with Git. So as you can see here, I already have Git installed on my desktop, and I'm already at my GitLab repo. So I'll bring this into your view. I'm just going to go ahead and uninstall Git right here. Yes, uninstall. You can see over here on my other screen, it is uninstalling it. Okay. And now let's go and install. So if we go to Google, just hit git install for Windows, you can come here and download the package. And then once it's downloaded, we're just going to go through the normal Windows installer package setup. So the reason we install on Windows is because Git, a little bit of history of it, was actually made for Linux-based systems. The actual creator of Linux, Linus, I forget his other name, his last name, created Git back in the late 90s. So if you're using Ubuntu or any other version of Linux as your daily desktop, you actually don't need to do this process. So you can actually skip towards the end of the video, we just teach you how to Git clone. But for Windows, we actually have to install a Git shell or a Git bash. And this is what we're doing with this setup. So a lot of these you can just next right through because it won't pertain to what we're doing for our CCNA course. This right here is saying what kind of text editor do you want to use. We can just use Vim, again, something that comes with Linux. We're going to install the Git command line also, along with the Git bash, and I'll show you what that means. Sure, we'll use OpenSSH when we use Git bash. Again, we're just going to kind of next through a lot of these. Sure, we'll enable file system caching. We're not going to do anything new or experimental because we don't want anything getting in the way of our course. So once this is installed, there's a few things we have to do when we first install Git. We have to do two global settings, which is your Git username and your Git email. So let's launch the Git bash terminal. So here you have the Git bash terminal. Now let me actually just increase this font a little bit. We'll make this 16 so it's easier for you guys to see. And this is completely Linux-based commands. So if you know anything about Linux, this will be a little bit more comfortable for you. If you're used to looking at a Windows command prompt, we can search down here, git command, and it'll bring up something that looks like our command prompt, something we're used to, the backslashes instead of the forward slashes used in Linux. Doesn't really matter which one you use. At the end of the day, again, we're not developers, we're not doing Git merge requests, branch creations, we're not using a CI/CD pipeline for the CCNA course. All we're trying to do is Git clone our CCNA repo so we can get those consistent baselines when we do our networking labs. And also, every day I'm going to upload the lab solutions to our Git repo. So when I have 20 students doing the same OSPF lab, there are different ways to skin a cat, right? You can configure OSPF under the global routing process or under the actual interface, which we'll get to. But it's kind of hard for me to check all 20 students to see if they did their lab correctly. So what we'll do, for example, is day 2 we have a switching lab. Well, when day 3 starts, an hour, 30 minutes prior to the start time of the course, I'm going to upload the lab solutions to our Git repo. And then you'll have to Git clone that repo again, right? And you can see the changes, right? So that's why we're using our Git repo, and that's why it's important that you learn this. So now, let's actually do those settings like I talked about. So that command is git config ---- global or -- global. And we're going to set a username. So user.name. Name. Next, we're going to do git config ---- global we're going to do an email. And now that we did this, now we can git clone. So what I want to do is get to our desktop using change directory, capital, and tab it out. Now we're in our directory folder, or our desktop folder. And I want to git clone this repo here. So the command is git clone. Then we're going to go back to our GitLab repo, hit this clone button, and we're going to copy that. Going to paste it here. We're going to hit enter. Already exists, is not an empty directory. Okay. So let me go ahead and delete the directory that's already there. As you can see, I'm just deleting it so you guys can see what it fully looks like. We're going to hit up arrow and clone it again. And that's all there is to it, guys. Just git clone. So you may be wondering, well, I thought you wanted us to clone the new repo every day. Well, how will it let us clone it if we have to keep deleting it every day? And for that, we're going to do another git command called git pull. So as you can see, we're in our main branch of Git. And remember, if you want to get to the nitty-gritty of Git and learn way more about it, I don't suggest this course. This is a CCNA course. But we can do something called git pull, which will pull down any changes I made to that Git repository. So let's say I come here and quickly just make a new file. I'll make this test02. New test file. I add a commit message. New file for video. Scroll down, I'm going to commit that change. And now you see, if we go back to our actual repo, test02. If we come here, we do ls, all we have is the readme and the test file. Well, if we do a git pull, now we see that new file I created. So every day you're going to have to come here and do a git pull before the course starts. Alright, so that's it for this Git video series. The next video series for our introduction to our CCNA course is an optional one. So it's going to be going over GNS3 install. GNS3 is already available to you on the web GUI that we give you. But if you want your own local GNS3 installed, where you can lab up anytime for the rest of your life, then you're going to want to follow that video series. And it's going to be another very simple GNS3 install series. Because again, there's so many guys out there that have already created videos of how to install GNS3. David Bombo, he's a great resource. That's not what we're here for. Again, we're here for CCNA. And we already give you the GNS3 labs every day with the purchase of this course. So the next video series, GNS3, will be a 3-part video series. 1, install GNS3. 2, install the GNS3 VM. And then 3, importing all the project files from the Google Drive folder available to you in this course. And then you can lab it up on your own time, and you don't even have to use our GNS3 web experience. You can just do it on your local desktop. So thank you for viewing, and stay tuned for our GNS3 video series.